In this video, we will see how to build a random forest model in Python using scikit-learn. The dataset for this video will be from a competition from Kaggle. I have discussed about this problem statement and the dataset in my previous video about building a decision tree model, so I won't go into the details. The notebooks that will be used are available both on GitHub and Kaggle, so you can access that. I will provide the links to both in the description box below. Here you can also find the link to the competition. Okay, let's get started. The first step, as always, is to import all the relevant libraries that we need for this problem statement. The most important for us is sklearn.ensemble.randomforestClassifier. We'll also need matplotlib and a matrix from scikit-learn. Quickly talking about the data that we have for this competition, we have a test dataset, a training dataset, and a sample summation CSV. Let's first go ahead and read our training data. So we'll use pandas read CSV function to read the training data. Here is a sample of how the data looks like. Target is a column which has the dependent variable for our data. It is the 10 variable which will be used for training our classification random forest model. Okay, the next logical step that we have is to split our train.csv data into the actual training dataset and the validation dataset. For this, we can use train test split function, which is provided by scikit-learn. We have to provide what is the random sample that we need to keep for validation. So we have provided that number as 0.2. What this means is 20% of the data will be kept for validation, and this will be selected randomly. As you can see from the shape attributes of all these datasets, the train datasets have 160,000 rows, while the validation has 40,000. So there has been a 80% sample for training and 20% sample for validation. Now let's get into the task of actually building our random forest model. The task is actually not very complicated. We create an instance of this class, which is random forest classifier. We specify some of the attributes for this class. I'm specifying number of estimated, which is the number of trees that we'll build. And I've kept that as 150 for now. What is the maximum depth that each tree will have? And that is 4. And the last one that I've specified is class weight is equal to balanced. And this has been provided because our training data set is not equally split into ones and zeros. The event rate in our data is 10%. And that is why we have to specify class weights is equal to balance. If the event rate was 50%, we would not have to specify this. There are a lot of attributes that are available for random forest classifier, and we will discuss them when we will have a video on hyperparameter tuning for random forest. Right? So once we have created this object model underscore rf, we'll call the function dot fit on it. We'll provide our training x's and y's, and that will train our model. We can use this model to make predictions both for our training data and our validation data. So we have y train pred and y valid pred, which are the predicted values of y for both the training and validation data set. For this particular problem statement, the metric that Kaggle has provided for evaluation is area under the curve. Therefore, what we'll do is we'll use scikit-learn's matrix.rockAUC score function to calculate the AUC value. It's a simple function where we first specify the actual y's and then the predicted y's. You can see the AUC value for train and validation is around 0.7. The difference between train and validation is not very large, which is a good thing for us. Okay, so now what we have done is we have built a simple classifier using random forest. But what is important is we need to understand some of the inner workings of how this is being done. So first thing what we'll do is we'll find out what is the prediction probabilities that random forest model is providing to all the observations that we are passing, right? So earlier we had used model underscore rf dot predict. So predict was the function that we were calling on our random forest object. Now we'll call predict underscore prob a, and what this will give us is the probabilities of predictions instead of the actual 1 and 0 decisions. So what I've done is I've printed the values of first 10 observations in our validation dataset. The probabilities are listed below. So you can see there are two values for every observation. What this essentially means is because we have two classes, we have zeros and one, that is why we see two values for every observation. If you don't know what first value is and what the second value is, I mean what is the first class and the second class, you can call the attribute classes underscore, and this will give you what are the two classes in your data. So the first is 0 and the second is 1 in our case. What this means is let's take the first instance of our observation prediction probabilities. The probability of this observation being a 0 is 0.56 and being 1 is 0.43. That is why when we compare it with the predictions that we are getting from random forest dot predict function, we see that for the first observation it is providing 0. You can see that this is what I've done. I have called these two functions. So first I am printing out probabilities and then I am predicting the actual predicted values. So you can see for the first one it is 0. For the second one, the probability is higher for 1, and that is why it is being assigned 1. Right? So this essentially tells you how you can get probabilities out of your random forest model predictions. And this will be helpful for us because as we'll see, this can help us understand how the model is performing for different values of tree. The next thing we can see is actually how the model is using prediction probabilities from every tree that is in random forest to make the final prediction for every observation. The important thing to know here is that there is an attribute for a random forest object that we have, which is .estimators. And this will give you each individual tree estimator that is part of your random forest model. What we can then do is loop over all these estimators or all these trees. We'll get one tree at a time. And then what we will do is we'll take the probability of prediction from that particular tree. So m.predict underscore prob a will give me the probability of prediction for every single tree in the model because we are looping over all the values that are in the estimators underscore attribute, right? So this looping operator will give us an array with all the probabilities for all the trees for all our observations. We can use numpy.stack to make it into a numpy array. And when we print the shape of each of these variables that we have, we can see it's 150 cross 160,000. And why it is 150? Because we had 150 trees and we had 160,000 observations in our training data set and 40,000 observation in our validation data set. Right? And what we can now do is we have for every observation 150 probabilities, which is the output from every tree. That can be used to find the final prediction probability from all the tree combined, which should be equal to the prediction probability that we have from random forest. And you can actually verify it on your own. We have actually done that here. So what we can do is for all the values that we have, we take the mean of that. So essentially every prediction probabilities of these 150 trees, we take the mean of that and compare it with the threshold value of zero point 0.5. If the average probability from all the trees is less than 0.5, we assign 0 as the class. If it is more than 0.5, we assign 1 as the class, right? And this can actually help you compare the values that you are getting directly from random forest.predict function with what you have manually calculated by following all the steps. And essentially this last line is doing that. We are finding the difference between the predictions that we are getting from model.predict function and comparing it with what is the classes that we are getting from the long approach that we have followed. Right? And when we can see that there's no difference, the difference is 0. Okay, so how can we use the knowledge that we have gained till now? It can be used in a very interesting way. We can find the model performance with respect to number of trees and plot it out. We can find out as we are increasing the number of trees, how has the performance of model changed. The same code will repeat again and find the probabilities for all the trees for every observations. So this is the NumPy array that we had earlier, 150 comma the number of observations. And now we can use all these probabilities to give us the combined score for one tree, 1 plus 2, 1 plus 2 plus 3, and so on. So as you see in this particular line of code, we have a loop which runs for the number of trees that we have in the data. We are calculating the average probability of prediction for different number of trees in our data, comparing it with zero point 0.5 to make a decision whether the model is classifying it as 0 and 1. And then using ROC AUC score, comparing it with the actual Y values to find AUC value for the training data for different values of trees. Similarly doing that for validation dataset. You can see the length of each of these arrays is 150 because we have 150 trees in our model. Okay, so we are just plotting these two values, and you can see this is a very simple graph that you can see which can help you understand how performance of the model measured with AUC is changing as you are increasing the number of trees. You can see as the number of trees are increasing, initially the AUC performance shoots up significantly, but then after a point it flattens out. You can see that train is performing better. The model is performing better on the training data compared to validation data, which is to be expected. From this graph, we can identify what is the final number of trees that you want for your random forest model. In my case, I have chosen 100 as the final tree. You might choose a lower value because it starts to flatten out earlier. But for me, I've chosen 100. And that is what I use to create my final model. As you can see, number of estimators now is 100, maximum depth remains same, and class weight is balanced. I call the fit function on the entire train.csv data. And now this final model that I have can be used to predict the actual class labels for the test data. So first, let's read the test data from test.csv using pandas read CSV function. We are also reading the sample summation CSV, which we can then modify to submit our data to Kaggle. Then essentially what we are doing is we are calling predict function, passing on the test data's X variables, and we are getting the predictions for target. So you can see some of this is 1, some of this is 0, and this is the final prediction that we have. We can export it to a CSV, which we can then upload on Kaggle's website and see what is the performance that we have on our test data. So this is an overview of how we can create a random forest model. There will be two other videos about random forest, one talking about how do we do hyperparameter tuning, and the third one about how do we analyze the model in more detail, looking at feature importance, partial dependence, and so on. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the comment section. Thank you for watching the video.